Hi friend, my name's Lily and I'm the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm going to bring you my October wrap up. I am filming this on the last day of October? No, the second to last day of October, which is pretty early considering me, but if you also didn't know, I schedule out my reading ahead of time, so I just know that I won't finish any books tomorrow and the rest of today. I don't know a lot of other people who schedule out their reading to the same extent that I do, but that means I can confidently film this wrap up for you. Let me just start off by saying what I've done in October. Based on the videos on my channel, you can tell that October was incredibly busy and stressful. We had a ton of panels. That was stressful. I had some conventions and events that I was going to. That was stressful as well. I don't know if I have vlog. Well, actually, I do know. I don't have vlogs slash TikToks or like anything about social media posts about them yet. I'm still going through content for that. And I also had some personal things as well, some people visiting me as well. So in general, October was just nonstop kind of back to back thing after thing. I also wasn't feeling that great earlier in October. So in general, it was just a really stressful month. In terms of creating, I did create some pieces, some earrings. I didn't finish the cardigan. I know that people are waiting on that. I didn't finish it. I hope to finish up this. I was like, I hope to finish up the sleeve by the end of the month. No, I actually have to finish both sleeves by the end of the month in November. That's my goal, to finish both, to finish it all actually by the end of November. But I don't think I'll finish it by the end of November. I'm still trying. I will hopefully finish the sleeve one by the first weekend of November is my goal. And then I don't even know how I'll finish the second sleeve because I'm also going to YALC, the Young Adult Literature Convention, in November. So I really honestly don't know how that's going to happen. But in general, I was creating things. I just don't have that many things to show you from October. In terms of reading, these are all the physical books that I read and still have for you today. So a nice hefty stack of books. It features some sequels, some highly anticipated books that I have been really looking forward to, some books I've mentioned in the past. So let's just chat about that in general. For October, I read 39 books, and so 28% of those featured queer characters as main characters, and 56% of those featured people of color as main characters. So all in all, almost on my goal, a little bit lacking on some of my goals. But as I said, it was just incredibly, incredibly stressful. I had to read a ton of books for panels, and so I was just all over the place in terms of my reading. I still found a bunch that I really, really enjoyed, so I'm going to chat about those now. Let me just start off first with the YA books that I really, really enjoyed. The first one is The Loudest Silence. This is a story about a girl who suddenly, kind of overnight, loses a lot of her hearing. I can't remember the exact percentage, but she loses a lot of her hearing, and because of that, she's dealing with a lot of ableism, not only within her school setting, but also with her friends, comments that people are making. And she is also an aspiring musician as well. So it's kind of hard for her in a variety of different levels. And The Loudest Silence is a dual perspective book. So it's not only about her, but it's about another character who is also struggling to figure out how to kind of tell people who he wants to be in a variety of ways. Both of these characters are kind of examining how to be brave enough to tell people about who we are, to be living authentically, and being able to find people who support that, find people who love us for who we are and not ask us to change. And I just really loved the dual perspective nature of this story. I loved their kind of platonic relationship in terms of their friendship. I also loved The Blood Orchid. I love Kylie Lee Baker's books so much. I loved The Scarlet Alchemist. I loved how bloodthirsty, ruthless, cunning the characters are in that. I love the chaotic sibling dynamics. And The Blood Orchid just kind of capitalizes on all of those things and increases my love for them. We not only have my obsession for the duck, in the Blood Orchid is like totally high. I really also loved the way that it examines power and the way that it examines what we would do to keep power. It's very much reeling from the ending of The Scarlet Alchemist in terms of events and plot and character. So a lot of the book is also about trying to figure out what we do with mistakes that we've made, what we do with kind of realizing that the power and their dreams are not going to, or did not end up where we thought we would. And then the ending is just totally fantastic. And so this is a fantastic series ender. I kind of knew that I was going to really love it, so who knows? Sometimes you just have really great series enders that give you exactly what you need. The next one that I want to chat about is Bitterthorn. I really enjoyed Bitterthorn. It took a bit to get into. I'll leave all the links to my full-length book reviews down below when they're out. But Bitterthorn took a bit to get into. But once you got into it, it just becomes this beautiful, tender love story about not only loving someone else, but also learning to love and forgive ourselves, I guess. As I said, it took a while to get into it because it kind of slowly builds up this foundation, this mystery. It has so many kind of different fairy tale vibes. There's a little bit of like a Bluebeard, a little bit of Beauty and the Beast, a little bit of just like a variety of different other fairy tale influences in Bitterthorn. But it kind of culminates in a story about love and about love freely given, I guess. I can't talk too much about it because there's a ton of spoilers that I cannot get into in terms of my feelings about the book. But just know that this is really beautiful when it sort of blooms in front of your eyes. You just have to give it a little bit more time. The next one I want to talk about is Heart-Shaped Lies, which I've been really wanting to read some thrillers. I don't know. I know that summer for me was heavy on thrillers and romance. I'm still kind of feeling the need to be kind of wrapped up in these immersive, obsessive experiences. And Heart-Shaped Lies manages to be a really fun, unique thriller and mystery while also being multiple perspective. It also introduces unreliability not only to each of the characters, but also obviously to the thriller and mystery genre. And fourthly, what I really appreciate as well is that it deals a little bit about social media and parasocial relationships, relationships where the media and the power of a spin, the power of a story, of the narrative are kind of super all encompassing, you know, the trial of public opinion, especially the internet public opinion. And how we kind of regain our own narrative and what that means in these days and ages where, you know, social media is much different than how it used to be. So those are the reasons why I really loved Heart-Shaped Lies. And I would definitely recommend it if you're trying to find a thriller that you can read in a few days because you're that interested to know what happens. That was certainly the case for me. And finally, the last one is Gay the Pray Away. I chatted about this a while ago. Basically, if you're new to the channel, I really love Natalie Naudus as a audiobook narrator, but actually Gay the Pray Away is Natalie Naudus's debut book. Natalie also did the audiobook, which is why I knew that I had to listen to the audiobook, and it is just so emotional and phenomenal. I literally finished this one about an hour before filming this. It is a story about love. It's a story about kind of dealing with religious trauma. It's a story about family. But it's so emotional, and your heart is in your pit of your stomach for so many different reasons, whether that be the love that blooms between two characters, whether that be the family tension, the family abuse, and whether that also be the religious trauma and the religious abuse that they're going through as well in their community. But it is just a fantastic story with a lot of different name drops to other stories that I've really loved, and also ones that were on a TBR. So all in all, it just feels so precious and special, and I'm very happy that I read it and loved it. And next, I want to chat about some adult fiction books that I read. Blood Over Bright Haven, with its rad, gorgeous edges, was also one that I read and just absolutely adored. It was one of those books, though, you know, one of those books that makes you almost like so ragey because of how deep the injustice goes. That was Blood Over Bright Haven. It very much is a book that needs to have these two characters examine the privileges, examine the injustices, the oppressions that each of them feel in different ways. Specifically, also, it is dual perspective, but specifically for one of the characters, I'm not going to name names, but for one of the characters, she really has to think about all of the different things that she's been taught about society, about magic, about like her whole life, about the ways that her people have sort of oppressed other people within the society. She has a lot of like beliefs that you're just like, oh, just come on. We can see both of the characters, and we also can so deeply see the oppression, but also the indoctrination, the programming basically about society to kind of make the wheels keep turning. You have to keep kind of oppressing people. This is very true in our own society. You know, the way that certain people live is very much benefited or dependent on the oppression of others. So this book is basically that. And it's also talking about this in a fantastical setting as well. I really loved it. Yes, so many of my notes were just like, oh, I'm so I'm so angry. But to me, this goes really well in conversation with, for example, To Shape a Dragon's Breath, because in To Shape a Dragon's Breath, you can also very much feel the rage about the oppression against the people within the book, and the oppression and like the erasure of their history, the kind of treatment, the intense looking down, the intense discrimination and oppression, obviously. But that one still has a lighter feel to it, in the sense that the protagonist of that one very much is like, yeah, I get it. That's messed up. I definitely don't feel that way. And I'm trying to help my community. I'm trying to help, you know, train my dragon. In Blood Over Brighthaven, one of the characters really has a lot to unpack. If you really love characters or stories where that is the case, where a character has to really go through some deep soul searching to kind of figure out, is the way that I've been living the way that it should be, Blood Over Brighthaven should be on your TBR. And the last one that I would do want to talk about, which was a 5-star read, is The Last Dragon of the East. This one is just so romantic. I loved it. I read it in a couple days, and I didn't expect to. I took it on a trip with me, and I ended up finishing it basically on the train ride there because it was just so beautiful. It's a story which has dragons. I love a good dragon story, but it's also a story about love and a story about the mistakes that we make within love, and what we would do to kind of avenge someone. It's a story that has a lot of different elements to it that kind of bloom and develop over time, whether it be a love story, whether it be a revenge story, whether it be about grief and loss. And it kind of just develops in a really organic way that really kind of takes readers along the journey and makes you appreciate every piece of what's happening, I guess. So it's kind of difficult to explain in the fact that I can't just say, oh, it's one thing or the other. It has a lot of different things. And it also has this really beautiful atmospheric kind of world building feel to it, which makes it feel kind of like this beautiful all around package of just things that I really enjoyed all at once. As I said, I finished this way earlier than I thought I was going to. Let me know what your favorite book that you read in October is. I'm already dreading the end of the year wrap ups, best of the year wrap ups. I hate doing them, honestly. If you've been following me for a while, you will know how badly I hate them, in the way that I'll just do anything I can to get out of them. So I'm already not looking forward to it. But I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope that you have a really great rest of your reading day, week, month, and 2024 year, with only 2 more months to go. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.